All right. This has been a wild ride. So I kind of explained this during my first two season reviews. I started watching this with my son. I'm like, you know what? I watch Stargirl. My son likes superhero shows. I think he might like this. So we started watching it on HBO Max, season 1 and season 2, and then season 3 on the CW app. And so we were kind of watching it. He hasn't seen the last 2 episodes, so I hope he doesn't watch this review. William, if you are watching this, stop. I don't want you to get spoiled on season 3, because I'm going to do some spoilers. Because, yeah. Because, yeah, season 3 was probably the wildest season of them all. First season was just the basic, superhero season. Then season 2, they got into the horror aspect, and they got a little bit darker. And this season is a murder mystery, which was really good. And then after a few episodes have aired, maybe like 5 episodes I think it was announced that CW was not renewing it, which kind of put this whole big shadow over it. Like, oh, what do you do now? You're invested in the show, but you know it's not going to go anywhere. And I could say without spoilers, the finale to this season and series, I heard that they had refilmed, that they had an alternate ending filmed just in case, because they weren't sure. Other people saying, no, it was just dialogue that was changed. The way it ended, there had to be a different ending. There's no way that could have been the ending to the season. So that has to be another ending out there. But so many emotions, so many moments during this season, and it was fun getting to watch it with my son as well. I already knew like certain things were revealed. I knew it was coming, so I just turned to him to see his reaction when it happened. But so let's go ahead and where we left off for season 2, because I just reviewed it a couple weeks ago. We left off season 2. Sylvester was back in town. He's alive somehow, and now the Crocs are living next door. And that's where the Frenemies title of this. And I'll tell you this. The Frenemies subtitle plays more into this season than the Summer School subtitle did in season 2. There was a lot more of, can we trust this person, what's going on, that sort of thing, than there was in season 2 with the Summer School aspect. The 1 or 2 episodes in season 2 where the Summer School aspect was actually there. Here, no, there's the frenemy stuff is all over the place. And so you have the return of the gambler, who we haven't seen since season 1. He's back in town trying to make amends because he's trying to find his daughter Rebecca Sharp. And it was very interesting when I was watching The Flash season 4, because there was a character named Becky Sharp, and I went, is that supposed to be the same character? Apparently it is, but a different version of it. There's also mention, I was starting to watch season 5 before December happened. Before I started filming for December, I should say. And they mentioned Cameron McKent in that. I'm like, okay, they got some stuff, put in there. But yeah. And so like the whole big thing around this is who committed the murder. The gambler is the one who was killed outside of his trailer. There's like a big dent in his trailer, and Cindy is sitting over his body with her blade out, and she kind of, so who did it? And there's a blade mark, he's been stabbed, but also there's that, the trailer's been destroyed. So, first hit is, oh, Grundy's back and he's evil again, but no, it's not Grundy, he's still buried. Grundy is, I'll say this right now, Grundy is barely in this season. In fact, he's really not in this season. His hand is not in here. He's mentioned, he's talked about, but he's not in here. And I can see that's maybe budget for CGI, because Stripe is also not really into that much. There's somewhat, but yeah, and so now we got to figure out who killed the gambler, and so we have Jakeem and Mike who are trying to recruit Cindy for what they call the Young All Stars, but on the other side you got Rick and Yolanda who don't want Cindy anywhere near them, and where it ended last season with Beth and her parents wanted to be all up in her business and stuff, and of course Yolanda's family is still terrible, at least her mother is. And they hint at better things, but yeah. I do like the mystery aspect. You never know where the twists and turns are gonna come, and there's like 3 twists in this season. Actually, 4 twists. There's the reveal of one of the killers, reveal of the other killer, another reveal, and another reveal. And it's just. And that's all within the last few episodes. We're just like boom, 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 boom. Yes, and Sylvester is also trying to be a mentor to the kids, but he is not sure how to go about it. And there's also the question of now that he's back, does she give Courtney does Courtney give him the staff back? And they want to share it, they want to work it together. And it's what's revealed, and you go back in hindsight and you're rewatching these, or you think about what's going on and you see what was actually going on here, which will reveal. But yeah, and I kind of, this whole dilemma kind of reminds me of Power Rangers Zeo specifically, when Rocky became the Blue Ranger. Tommy was now the Red Ranger. He was de facto leader. But then Jason came back as the Gold Ranger. Spoilers for Ranger Zeo. So now Rocky was questioning his place. He was jealous because Jason was back. He replaced Jason, but now Jason is back. What's going to go on? He's now pushed back further, that whole thing. So it's kind of like with Courtney, where she doesn't know. Is she still Stargirl? Is she still a hero? There's a lot of this season where there's not a lot of superhero stuff. There's some suit stuff. Yeah. Rick is also trying to fix the hourglass, but it's not working for an hour. It'll go 20 minutes, 10 minutes, sometimes 3 minutes. It varies until Sylvester tells him, hey, there's a restrictor on there. So he said, okay, takes the restrictor off, but that causes problems because it affects him in a way because it's on all the time, which... he's not around his neck, but he has it tied to him, so it's still activated, I guess. But I thought you had to still turn it to activate it. It's sideways. Does that mean it's permanently? I don't know. It's very confused. But that's what it's on. But there's also the McKents, who are still, they're in Cameron's ear, like especially Grandma McKent, Grandma Icicle, I call her, who is kind of in Cameron's ear, trying to tell her that Courtney girl is no good for you. And, you should stay away from her. But, there's that romance. And he's getting his powers, as was hinted at towards the end of season 2. So he's getting his powers now. And Courtney eventually goes to help him. And if there is one thing I want to criticize, is that it seems like every season, I don't remember if there's one in season 1, but in season 2 and this one, something happens where the group splits apart. And then I have to come back together just for the finale. And it's kind of repetitive. Like... one thing with Eclipso in season 2, where they were kind of separated and they came together. And if it's another thing that I want to talk about is that Jade, or Jenny Lynn Hayden, the Green Lantern's daughter, she was introduced in season 2. I think she's underutilized, and I think that's because of the budget. Like, you can't have her doing the constructs. If you knew budget was going to be a problem, why introduce her? She comes back in a 2-parter called Infinity Inc. And one big thing I'm going to give credit to, because at first it was a detriment to me, but now thinking back about it, every season now at the end they hinted at something. At the end of season 1 it was the Shade, right? But that was a red herring because Shade ended up being on their side. But they also teased Eclipso, which was the true villain. At the end of season 2, the only thing they teased was Mr. Bones. And that was a red herring. Because it turns out Mr. Bones was not the main villain. But it had me fooled, because the whole time I'm thinking it's Mr. Bones. We are seeing on the gambler's laptop that there is a security feed to out Blue Valley. And the audience sees somebody with a hood on and gloves, and he's pounding, he's making a puzzle, and he's pounding, he's angry, and you think, it's gotta be Mr. Bones. But there's a two-part episode in Infinity Inc. where they go to save Jenny's brother, who didn't really need saving, they were trying to help him. And they do go back to the Shadowlands. Pat does this time, which kind of goes into his backstory with Mike's mom. She was a drug addict, and the police brought Mike to him because she wasn't, she wasn't taking care of him, and that does play into the end. But yeah, and I lost my train of thought. Let me think. I lost my train of thought. No, it's gone. What the hell was I even talking about? Did I get amnesia? What the hell happened? My mind went blank. I don't remember what I was talking about. I'm serious. Mike's mom, right? Mike's mom. That's all I can think of. Mike's mom. What was I talking about before Mike's mom? My memory's going out. What the hell just happened? I don't remember. Oh my god. I'm losing my mind. I can't remember what I was talking about. Mike's mom. Shit. Hello. Gotta remember. Can't do that. Mike's mom. Right. And Shadowlands. He and the Shade go to Shadowlands, are both forced to confront their past. There was mention about Emily, the Shade's sister, and now Pat's also confronting his past, and they eventually get out, and then the Shade takes Jenny and her brother, I forget her name, Todd, her brother and Todd, to go find the Sandman's son, I think son, in New York, and that sort of plays into the ending, but notified him, and they're gone for the rest of the season. They're mentioned later, but they're basically gone. Because then we get into the nitty-gritty of the story. We have a showdown between the Muck Kents and the JSA. But Cameron fights, but it's basically Rick's fault here, mostly because of that hourglass is messing with them. That there's this, because Courtney's trying to explain to Cameron what's going on. The grandparents get involved. Then Rick shows up and starts a fight. And it causes problems. And yeah, there's this big old fight. And Sophus, that's the grandfather, he is having a heart attack and going into jail. Because Beth found that the security feed, the camera feed, leads to the McKent house. Which reveals something. So, first twist, alright? They're still trying to find out who the killer is, right? They're going through their list. Who could it be? It could be the McKents. Could it be Grundy? It's not Grundy. Could it be, who could it be? Could it be the Crocs? Not the Crocs. Cindy. It's not Cindy. Who is it? Well, the first reveal, they use the Thunderbolt a little bit more in this, but it's still mostly just sparks because it's CGI budget, of course. They get gas specifically, and that's still one thing I don't like, is that you gotta be so specific that it puts out comedy. So they asked what the name of the killer, of the gambler, and Stephen Sharp, blah 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 blah, and it says the killer has many names. Okay, that doesn't tell us anything, but so they go. They try to track Cindy, and they have one last. She was checking all of her father's labs because she's starting to turn into a lizard creature thing because of her father's experiments. And so they follow her out. They track her, I should say, to this farm. And they hear this noise, which the fans would think is Grundy, but when they turn around, it's a giant albino gorilla. Comic book fans would know him as the Ultra Humanite. Yep, it's the Ultra Humanite. But we're not done with the twists. No, it's the Ultra Humanite. And I'm glad to see the Ultra Humanite although they kind of did them different here, but it still worked for me. At the end, I was unsure how they were going to do it, because I watched Justice League Unlimited. I know they show him in that, and I liked him. Great performance here by whoever did the voice. Yeah, I'm going to kill them all, he says, and that's the end of that episode. Next episode, we get another twist. It's a sad episode. The Crocs. It starts off with the... So the next episode, it makes me cry. It starts off with the song On Top of the World by Imagine Dragons, which I've been listening to constantly since I heard it. Where you see that the Crocs, they've blended into Hill Valley. The Blue Valley, this isn't Back to the Future. The Blue Valley, and they've made friends, and they're all accepted, and everything's going their way, and they go to talk to the McKents and say, we need to put all the past behind us. We've done it. You guys need to do it too. We need to just let everything go, right? Right. So they're on their way home. They're walking home when they get a call from Artemis saying she got into college. She's going to be the first female quarterback in college history. Yay, happy news. So they're dead, right? So they see these flyers for Crusher's Gym, right? And they go into the sewer. They track this down, and they find our hooded, masked person, who is Jordan McKent, a.k.a. Icicle, who survived his being destroyed by Mike, being run over by Mike. Here's the big question, because we find in the next episode that they just left him in pieces on the sidewalk. Why didn't they clean him up? I mean, you think they'd have enough foresight to say, oh, maybe he can put himself back together, which is what he did. Which, by the way, season 1 and 3 all take place within a year's time. Okay? Because, season 2 takes place in the summer before this school season starts. I should also mention before I forget that the Grandma Icicle kills Mr. Dysinger, who I thought was going to come back at some point. No, he's just dead. And she throws him in a friggin' dumpster, and they still trying to find him. Which that's a loose end. It's never tied up, by the way. Like, we know, but the characters don't know about Mr. Dysinger unless Sophus tells them, "Your grandma killed him." I should have stopped her, but I was not thinking good then. Maybe he tells her. I don't know. So we got 2 twists. Ultra Humanite. Jordan's the killer. Icicle. Yeah. It's him. And he kills Crusher and Paula by freezing them and then busting them in a million pieces. And the next episode, which is kind of a cool down episode before the next 2 that would really get going. It's really the actress who plays Artemis. I don't know your name, but great props to you. You were fantastic in that episode. Just the grief that this kid has. Both her parents dead. People are like, well, where is she going to live now? Cindy's got a whole freaking house to herself. She can stay there. Right? I'm just saying. But we also have Mike and Jakeem come back and tell them about the ape. The big albino gorilla, which they realize is the Ultra Humanite. So now he's back, so they have to, and Starman is out there trying to find it. He finds out about the Crocs, and he blows the freaking thing to pieces. And I also like when he finds out Icicle's alive. Excuse me, he doesn't care about the Crocs. He finds out Icicle's alive, and he destroys the whole barn, right? And then I do love this scene. I like the scenes. They're sad, but I like the scenes when Pat and Barbara find out about their friends being dead. The emotion. And Barbara gets a double whammy because she finds out that Paula's dead, followed by Jordan's return. It's just like right then, like right after another. And it's just like, and he had the McKents finding out before this. They had no idea he was still alive, but he's trying to do something. And if it's another thing that I want to question is that we never really find out what his plan is. I say his because what they're planning, also Humanites involved too. What their plan is to do? Is it to restart Project New America? Was that what they were trying to do? I don't understand. But Jordan's not any less delusional than he was before he died. I'll tell you that much. Yeah. And that's basically that episode. And then next episode, which was last week's, oh my god. So they explained in this episode before that Ultra Humanite had many names because he was using different bodies. He had albino gorilla, but he also was in the body of an actress named Dolores Winters, which starts out our next episode. We see flashbacks in black and white with Ultra Humanite's in Dolores Winters' body, which shows us that he can be an actress, he can act, you can play roles. And we see Shiro Ito, Dragon King in his human form, talking to her, them, whatever. What kind of pronouns they use, I don't know. But, yeah. About the gorilla body. Alright. This episode is basically leading up to Starman confronting Icicle, right? That's what it's leading up to. But they don't want him to, but he's going to do it anyway. And he basically tells everyone off. But Courtney tells him off. But the staff is fully in his control. And he's going to go take on Jordan McKen. But Stripes, he's not going to let him do it on his own. So he puts the suit back on, which is pretty cool to see Pat in the suit. He's going to help him. But Sylvester tore off the arm of Stripe. And he can't fix it that fast. So he gets a blowtorch. Flamethrower, and he goes to help him. Meanwhile, Jakeem wishes to find the lab that Cindy needs to help her. Well, it's actually the lab they need to find because Jakeem is holding the pen, so he's the one, And they find this lab, that one Dragon King's lab that's still being used, and they find Dragon King's body with his brain missing, who are believed to be the Ultra Humanite comes in the gorilla body, but then says, "Hello, my daughter." Bum, bum, bum. Dragon King is in the gorilla body. So where is Ultra Humanite? Well, wouldn't you know it? It's been Sylvester the entire time. And he knocks out Pat and buries him alive. Yep. The episode ends with Pat buried alive, but he gets out pretty quick in the finale episode, and it's just everything that comes full circle in this finale where, and even before this, where it's revealed, we've seen at the end of season 1 and beginning of season 2 how Sylvester was going around asking, people questions. He was trying to find out things so he can equate himself to be Starman for the role of Starman. He's doing research to be Starman, and we find out this episode that he had to convince Courtney that the staff would work for him, so it would work for him. Kind of like in season 1 when she doubted it would work for her after she found out her dad wasn't Starman, and it didn't work until she had the belief that she could do it. That's what that was all about. Yeah. So Mike, Jakeem, and Cindy, or Dragon Queen, later, but would fight off the gorilla, and they use Thunderbolt to turn him into a stuffed gorilla. Yep, that's it. Turn into a stuffed gorilla. That was really quick, but yes. So we have Ultra Humanite in Sylvester's body with Icicle and his family, because he's convinced Cameron that what they're going to do is important for everyone to work together. But we have this fantastic fight sequence, which is just, fought by all of them. And Pat shows up in Stripe, although I thought it would be cool for Zeke to fly it. I'm here to help you, Deacons. Whatever. But yeah, that'd be cool. But no, it's Pat in there, and we do get a fist fight with Starman and Pat. And if there's anything, they're supposed to be at even levels, but Sylvester, also human, maybe he had super strength. I don't know. He's able to best him a little bit, but there's some good fight scenes. Grandma Icicle goes splat because a car falls on her. Right, this is after Sophus has decided, I don't want to fight, you know, because Beth, you know, senses hesitation in him. The goggles do, I guess. Chalk, whatever. And yeah, because before this, they all figured out something's going on with Sylvester. They thought he was pushing everyone away, but he's told Rick to take off the restrictor. He told Beth to push her family away. He told Yolanda to not trust Cindy. He was doing everything in his power to make sure that the Justice Society was pushed apart. But now they're back together. Rick is still having problems with the hourglass, but, he's going to. Although they seem to go away pretty fast after the fight. I thought he couldn't take the thing off without... But I guess it went away. I don't know. We have this cool fight sequence in the first half of the episode. And if it's one thing that I have a problem with finales nowadays is that, this is season 2 had a very structured finale where most of it was action and stuff. This felt like a very CW, DC TV Arrowverse finale where the first half was the big battle and then the last half is just follow-up. So the first half, Cameron finally confronts his father, and then you get this big poof of ice stuff, and you see Jordan's face just fly out. And so he's not gone. He's not completely gone, but Cameron's like, I'm taking my grandfather home, and then I'm gone. But we get happy ending with that later. Rick goes to where Grundy is, and Grundy's hand pops out, and I guess there was supposed to be a line where it's like, after all that, now you're awake, you choose now to wake up, or something like that, I don't know. I guess Dragon King was also supposed to have a line, and also they show that Sylvester's brain is still alive, his body is still alive too, but the humanite's brain is dead. But Sylvester's brain is still alive at a undisclosed Dragon King lab somewhere. It looks like it's in the mountains, I guess. And then we cut to a dinner. So that was going to flash forward to Christmas, but no, it's like a dinner. Everyone's there. And, everyone's there. Cindy's there. The dog is chewing up the Ultra Human Knight. No, not Human Knight. The Dragon King gorilla, stuffed gorilla. And, Mike gets closure with his mom, who is Alicia Witt coming back from a cameo in the beginning of season 2. Nice to bring her back. And, nice little dinner. Yolanda calls her mom. Part of me just wants her to go away, but it's your mother. You have to have, it's your mother. You can't be without your mother. So, And then we flash 3 months later in Denmark, and we see Icicle walking when he steps in something gooey, and you hear a female voice going, "Hello, Mr. Pemberton," or "Hello, Mr. McKent," excuse me. This is special stuff my dad used to use in his pucks. It's very flammable. It's Artemis. She lights it up, and Jordan McKent just freaking gets burnt to a fucking crisp. It works on water, so yeah, he's dead. He's not coming back. She even says, "You're not coming back from that." He's dead. And then we jump 10 years from now. So it would be 2032. And we see the Shade, who hasn't aged a freaking day in 10 years. I want his beauty secrets. I want to know how he's aged in freaking 10 years. And he's talking about the Justice Society of America. And he mentions Star Woman, Wildcat, Our Man, Dr. Midnight, who's getting married. I wonder to who. But also you have... also Beth's parents say that they're sidekicks now, and before the 10 years. And the names are Nightlight and Hootie, which is the name of the album. But they also mention Sand, who I think is Sandman's son. And then there's Jade, Obsidian, and they mentioned that they took down the ISA, took down Eclipso, stopped the Ultra Humanite, and there's Nebula Man, which I'm guessing was going to be the season 4 villain. They saved the 7 Soldiers of Victory from Nebula Man, so I'm sure that was going to be the season 4 story they were going to do. And then the Flash shows up. It's still confusing. They're using John Wesley's ship, but it's still confusing because John Wesley's ship himself says it's the same Flash, but it can't be the same Flash because it was confirmed that the Flash was killed. Also, he has the helmet, and they showed him flashbacks from decades ago that he had the helmet, and he wouldn't have had the helmet back then if it was the same Jay Garrick. So, I don't know, it's very confusing. It's very confusing, and I don't want to disrespect John Wesley's shit because honestly I've been a fan of his since the original Flash, but I would take what he says about it being the same Jay Garrick in both. With a grain of salt, although it does kind of make sense because he and Joan, his wife, are doppelgangers of Barry's parents. And so after the crisis happened, they now live on Earth Prime. Well, they couldn't have been there the whole time because they look like Barry's parents. So it's plausible they could be from Earth 2 and they just moved there at some point and now they live there. I don't know. I'm no expert. But question is, there was a comic book. And in that comic book, it took place in 2029, I think it was. There was some stuff going on. So could this be related? The Stargirl was a part of that crossover in the comics. So, and it was very recent. Could this be a part of it? They said that it was going to be concluded in Flash Season 9. I'm not exactly sure if that's going to happen now that it's the final season, but who knows? But yeah, it ends here. And like I said, it jumps 10 years and it honors the JSA, and it's a very nice, very kind of tear-jerking moment. I think it was an alternate ending, though, because I do not think that they would have had that if I don't think they would have that if it was just the season finale. So, yeah. I don't know. It's also going to confuse people who don't realize that the show was canceled because they were advertising on CW season finale. I don't know. Apparently that's just in case Netflix has some interest in it. I don't know. I don't think it's going to get picked up. And after this, if it does get picked up by a streaming service, it's going to be like, okay, so now where do we go from that? Do we do the Nebula Man storyline? And they could still do that. They could do the Nebula, because then you can think of that's 10 years in the future. So you could do about 4 more years of stories and still pay that off. But I don't know how more. It is oddly satisfying. They also say that Mike is the new Stripe Jr. or whatever they call him. And Jakeem, goddamn Jakeem, he gets to fight, man. He gets all glowy and pink and just boom to save Cindy, man. Yeah, this was good. It's between season 1 and 3. Which one's the best? But I think all 3 seasons were solid. I had a couple of hiccups for season 2, but other than that, and I forgot to mention Cameron and Courtney hug, and so there's possibility for them in the future as well. But so what are your thoughts on Stargirl season 3? Number comes, let me share, like, share, and subscribe. I was gonna wait till the first upload this, but I think I'm just gonna upload it now in the middle of December. I know it's not gonna be a part of that, but just do it now but I wait till the beginning of next year, and not going to be relevant anymore. So I'm just going to do it now. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.